It's 6 o'clock. There are 2 people waiting for the YouTube stream.
One will be
I'm free because I'm the first.
one will be Martin.
I think, yeah, you might do. We're live. We're live. Super. Thank you very much, Alison. Welcome everyone to this meeting of Cabinet. Before we kick off, those of you who are regular observers to our meetings, if there is such a thing, will notice that we're not in our usual room at the moment. That's because there are some IT issues in the council chamber. So the Cabinet here have gathered in a smaller room here, but as usual, we are joined by some of our officers in person and other members of the council and some officers online. These members who are joining us online can ask questions and can take part in any discussions when invited to, but they can't vote. Despite the new room, the meeting will operate as it always does. So can I draw everyone's attention to agenda item 1, which sets out the guidance on how meetings will be conducted, including the ground rules. Before we start formal business, we'll confirm attendance of voting members by doing a roll call. So my name is Matt Borson, I'm leader of the council and chair of Cabinet. And Robin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, Robin Betts, Cabinet Member for Housing, Economy and Environment.
Thank you, Des.
Yep, good evening everyone. Des Kears, Cabinet Member for Community Services.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Matt. Adam Nemeth, Cabinet Member for Infrastructure and Tunbridge Regeneration.
And Mike.
Last but not least, Mike Taylor, Cabinet Member for Planning.
And here in the room with us, we've got Damien.
Good evening, everybody. Damien Roberts, Tunbridge and Morley Borough Council's Chief Executive.
Thank you. And Alison Travis.
Good evening, Alison Paris, Principal Democratic Services Officer.
I'll just ask officers who are online if they can just introduce themselves. I'll do you in the order that you appear on the screen. So, Jeremy, can you hear us?
I certainly can. Good evening, everyone. Jeremy Whitaker. I'm the Economic Development and Special Projects Manager.
Thank you, Paul.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Worden. I'm the Head of Finance and Section 151 Officer.
Thank you, Paul. Linda?
Hi, everyone. Linda Hibbs, Head of Housing and Health.
Thanks, Linda. And Claire?
Evening, everybody. Claire Keeling, Housing Solutions Manager.
Thank you, Claire. I think I've got all officers who are online. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Right, as I said, agenda item 1 is the guidance on how meetings will be conducted, which we've been through. Agenda item 2 are apologies for absence. We have one apology for absence from Martin Coffin. Agenda item 3 are declarations of interest. Does any member have any interest to declare? No. Agenda item 4 are minutes of 2 meetings, the ordinary meeting of the 14th of October and the extraordinary meeting of the 29th of October. They're available in the agenda pack from pages 15 to pages 28. Colleagues, can I sign both sets of minutes together?
Great, agreed.
They are agreed. I shall do that shortly. Right, we now come on to our executive key decisions. Agenda item 5 is local government reorganisation business case submission. This was debated at the Overview and Scrutiny Committee of the 13th of November last week, and it was debated at length, which was excellent. Can I just draw everyone's attention to pages 3 and 4 of the supplementary paper that was published earlier today, which sets out the recommendations from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Anita Oakley is online as chair of that committee. Do you wish to add anything to the recommendation that's come?
No, thank you for asking me. No, it was a good debate, and I was confident that most people were in agreement with the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita, and it certainly was a good debate. Just before I invite colleagues, if you wish to speak, and as ever, I'll start with members who are joining us online, and then I'll come to members in the chamber last. Perhaps I can just sort of say a few words about this, because this is an exceedingly important decision that we're taking tonight, and one that will have significant consequences potentially for the future of the borough for decades and generations to come. And I don't want us to lose sight of that. We have been forced into this process by the government. We aren't as council made clear at our meeting earlier this year, we're not doing this by choice. But unfortunately for us and for all other district and borough councils, the government have decided that they wish to reorganise local government, and we're now at the point, the milestone in which we have to put our business case submission forward. Throughout that, we have engaged positively with all of our neighbouring councils, regardless of any differences we might have with them about policy or any other matters, or indeed local government reorganisation, because the instruction that we've got from government has been to put forward a submission that covers the whole area of Kent and Medway, and not just the submission that affects us here in Tunbridge and Morley. There's lots of documents to read, but obviously there are essentially 5 options that have been considered. The proposal that's come forward tonight, that's recommended from overview scrutiny, is the one that, as the member kind of with responsibility for this, that we've been working on for quite some time. And the reason for that is because we've got one choice, which is option 1A, which just doesn't meet any of the government's criteria. A single unitary for Kent is a bonkers idea, in my humble opinion, and doesn't meet the criteria. We've got options for 4 or 5 unitaries, both of which are perhaps more compliant than the option 1 is, but have some significant problems associated with them, whether they are geographical problems, such as splitting up boroughs and districts, in particularly our own borough and district, or they don't deliver on the criteria as much as other options do, and critically will result in a longer payback period. So we've been working on option 3A, as it's called, which essentially would see ourselves in a West Kent unitary alongside Maidstone, Sevenoaks and Tunbridge Wells. And that, I'm pleased, was the recommendation from the overview and scrutiny committee for us this evening. Does any member who isn't a cabinet member and is dialing in online wish to comment on this item? Don't see any hands. So, cabinet members, anything to add from your perspectives? Mike?
Just wanted to say, I think it's important. It's being done to us, but it's important that we do our best to get the best out of this for our residents for the future. There is a submission from the Parish Alliance, supported by some other parishes. Whether that goes into a separate submission or is appended to the borough councils, as long as it gets there. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mike. I just think on that, we might then want to put an additional recommendation on that essentially probably grants delegation to Damien as our chief executive in consultation with myself, who will give that oversight, to agree probably any final drafting changes to the documents and also any other supporting documents that we would use as part of our submission, including what the parish councils have put forward. So
that's very useful, because there will be undoubtedly a few more parishes drift in over the next few months, a few weeks.
Well, I hope it's a few days. I hope it's a few days. The deadline's next Friday.
It'll be a few months. Those that don't meet it by Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Friday 28th. So I'm happy to propose that. You're happy to second, Mike. So we'll add that as an additional recommendation. If there's no one else who wishes to comment, then there's essentially 2 recommendations that came from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. That the comments are noted, we can note them, and also that the 3 unitary model of option 3A be submitted to the government by the 28th of November 2025 as our preferred option for local government reorganisation. So we'll take that and the recommendation that we've just discussed. Cabinet colleagues, can we take them together? That's proposed by me, seconded by Mike. Can we agree that?
Agreed.
That was agreed unanimously. Thank you very much to all of you. We'll now get on with the rest of our business. So if I can draw everyone's attention to page 255 of the agenda, if I can actually get the right documents in front of me, that would help. We have the review of fees and charges for 2025-26 with regards to waste, leisure and environmental health. These were considered by the Communities and Environment Scrutiny Select Committee on the 5th of November 2025, You can see the recommendations. I won't go through all 14 of them, you'll be delighted to know, on page 255 and 256. Robin and Des, you were both at that meeting. Anything to add from your perspectives?
Nothing further to add from me, thank you.
Me neither, thank you.
Okay. Cabinet, members who aren't in Cabinet, any questions or queries on the 14 recommendations? No, I don't see any hands. Adam or Mike, anything from you? No? Okay, I'll move them all on block to save us being here all night reading them all out. Can I have a second for those, please? Des, I think you got there marginally first. Can we agree that all together?
Agreed.
That was agreed unanimously. Thank you all.
Can I just
very
check
much.
here?
Oh, yes, Mike.
When we say agreed in this meeting, is it picked up by the microphone from those online viewers?
Yes, I believe you could all hear.
Yes, it is.
Agreed, it is.
It is,
Thank you.
Thank you. Just deathly silence.
Yes, but just before we move on to item 7, it's quite theory because we don't know what you can hear. So we're assuming you can hear absolutely everything online and for all of our viewers on YouTube too.
Better
yes.
than normal from the chamber, Matt.
Because the mics are always on.
Yes, there we are. Well, perhaps hopefully our new technology in the chamber has a new sound system attached to it. Anyway, moving swiftly on to agenda item 7. This is the temporary accommodation recharge policy. That's on page 271. We have Claire and Linda with us. Do either of you wish to introduce the report?
Yes, I'm happy to. Thank you, Councillor Bolton. Just really quickly, just to say that we currently use a mix of nightly paid temporary accommodation and our own stock. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
You can, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
one problem with microphones is when you have a coffin.
Okay. Okay, so in the 24-25 financial year, we spent £46,000 on repairs on our own temporary accommodation. Since then, we've had the addition of Bridge House, and there's a further desire to expand our temporary accommodation further with Bluebell Hill. And so we're expecting our repair costs to increase. We're going to continue to do any legitimate repairs to our TA, but we're introducing this policy to allow us to charge those in our own temporary accommodation where any repair is as a result of willful damage or neglect. We recognise it may be challenging to collect any monies, but hoping alongside the presence of staff in Bridge House and our temporary accommodation, all of this will actually act as a little bit of a deterrent to prevent that willful damage and neglect. Yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Linda, anything to add?
No, Claire's covered it all, thanks.
Super, and apologies, Claire, for interrupting you at the start of my coughing fits. That's where you do need microphones to turn off. Robin, Captain Housing, anything to add?
No, I think Claire's covered it really well there. It really, I mean, ideally, it's acting as a deterrent at the end of the day. That's the purpose of this. But and I'm surprised that we haven't looked at this before. But there you go. So it's a good move in my view. Thank you, Claire.
Super, thank you, Robin. Members who aren't in Cabinet, anything to add? No, nothing. Cabinet members, any questions? No, super. So page 272, paragraph 3.1 asks us to approve the adoption of the temporary accommodation recharge policy, which is at Annex 1. I'm happy to propose that. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Robin. Can we agree that?
Agreed.
That was agreed unanimously. Thank you, Linda and Claire for, and I'd echo what Robin said myself. It's an excellent piece of work, and I'm really grateful for the work that you and your teams have done to put this together. We now move on to page 287, which is the annual service delivery plan 2025-26 quarter 2 update. This was considered at the overview and scrutiny committee meeting on the 13th of November. The recommendations are in the annex, actually, which is at page 5 of the of the supplementary paper. Anita, do you wish to say anything as chair of overview and scrutiny committee?
No, it's just that it's an amazing document and very detailed, and does help us to get everything into perspective and to appreciate the work that's going on. So and there's a few red areas, but they were mostly caused by government failings. But I think it's great. So and Jeremy and Jill worked very hard on it. Thank you very much.
They do. Thank you, Anita. I mean, actually, it was a really good discussion about some of those areas in which we're perhaps falling short of our targets, but Jeremy and Jill did a really good job of explaining why. And sometimes these matters are out of our control, and sometimes we've got an action plan in place. So that's really the purpose of the annual service delivery plan. Any other members, any questions on the items? Don't see any online. Cabinet colleagues? No? Okay. So we've been asked 3 recommendations. Our appreciation be recorded for the overall progress, that our appreciation be recorded for the achievements made, and that the areas needing focus be noted. Can we agree those?
We agree.
Excellent. We can agree our appreciation, really. So thank you very much to everyone involved. You are very much appreciated by us all. Right. Item 9 is on page 315 of the main agenda pack. This is the air quality monitoring updates and air quality management area recommendations that came from the Communities and Environment Scrutiny Select Committee of the 5th of November. Robin, air quality falls in your portfolio. Anything to add?
No, it's a good news story. Air quality is clearly improving in our borough, which is great. I put a lot of this down to the encouragement of the borough council with electric vehicle charging to support residents to move to transition over to zero emission vehicles, of course. But yeah, overall, I mean, the revocation of so many AQMAs is a good sign. So yeah, it's a good report.
Yes, excellent, and really good to make progress. Members who aren't in cabinet, any questions, Anita? And now we'll come to cabinet members.
Not a question, just an observation, really. The AQMA along Larkfield's A20, that is being abolished, and I think even though we've got Panettone with so many vans coming along the A20, I think the reason that we haven't been affected is that they also are sporting lots of electric vehicles. So it's a win-win situation all round, really, and good news.
Yeah, absolutely, Anita, and I'm sure the opening of Bellingham Way has helped, and Peters Bridge, if we go back even further, in terms of giving lots of different east to west routes in the north of the borough. So I do agree with you. We do still monitor these areas. This isn't to say we don't stop monitoring them at all. I don't see any other questions, so I'll come to the cabinet members now. Mike?
I did view this with a bit of trepidation at first, because obviously Borough Green is one of the AQMAs, and we fought long and hard to get the monitoring equipment installed. But there is no doubt that the increase in EVs, the improvements in internal combustion, means that we don't need it anymore. So I'm happy to give my blessing.
Excellent. Any other? Adam?
Thanks, Matt. So yeah, it's a good news story. Will we be publishing it and sort of making it clear to residents of Tunbridge that air quality is improved? I think it's deserves comment.
We absolutely will. I think it's really important that we do. And your Mike's going to put his hand up and say we should do the same with Borough Green.
There'll be one resident of Borough Green who will applaud this, because he's complained about once a month over the last 10 years about the noise that the monitoring equipment makes.
Well, I hope you'll be very happy. So, but yes, I do think we need to share this with residents, and I hope all members will do that themselves. So, on page 315, we've got to ask that from the committee that the improvement in air quality be noted. We're asked to agree the revocation of the Tunbridge High Street, Larkfield, Aylesford, and Borough Green air quality management areas, and that the continuation of air quality monitoring across the borough, including to respond to any specific areas of concern, be agreed. Can I have a proposer for that? I think Robin, you were there slightly first, or I was looking in that direction. Mike, you second. There you go. Can we agree?
Exactly.
Can we agree that's collectively?
Agreed.
That was agreed unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Rob. Agenda item 10 is on page 333. That's from the same committee in relation to the antisocial behaviour enforcement team update and update their work and request for funding. 3 recommendations at the bottom of page 333. Des, it's in your portfolio. Anything to add?
Just that members were provided with an update of the work of the ASB enforcement team employed by the Borough Council. The committee supported it in principle, the continuation of the scheme for the next 2 years, allowing the procurement process for potential contractors to be undertaken in good time to secure the ASB team. As it says in the report, the final endorsement will be subject to council approval of funding in February 2026 as part of the annual budget setting process. But as you say, 3 recommendations are there, and I strongly endorse them.
Super, thank you, Des. Any member online got any questions on this report? No, I don't see any. Cabinet colleagues, Mike?
Green Parish Council did make a contribution to this when it was first asked, and we've been impressed with the way the ASB teams work, so we've got no hesitation in supporting, continuing to support it.
Great, thank you. I'm pleased to hear such good feedback. I don't see any other questions, so I'll go to recommendations. Now, it's a little bit complicated, so I'll take the 2 first, which we can decide tonight. So that is that the request for funding from town and parish councils be agreed, and that the initiation of the procurement process for the ASB enforcement team be agreed. Can I have a proposer, Des? I'm happy to second. Can we agree those 2?
Agreed.
Okay, they were agreed unanimously. And then the third recommendation, which is the continuation of the ASB enforcement team for a further 2-year period, is recommended by us to council as part of the budget setting process. Can I have a proposer for that? Thank you, Des. Mike, second. Can we agree that together?
Agreed.
That is agreed unanimously. So that final recommendation will be referred to full council meeting in February, where it picked up as part of the budget. Right. Thank you all. Agenda item 11 is waste minimisation and waste management at events on council-owned land, which was discussed at the same committee again. This is on page 339 and relates to the proposed guidance notes. Des, events fall in your portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start absolutely, because this is almost like cross portfolios, if you like. We're certainly going to introduce and roll out a new policy, or in addition to the policy around the operations managers for such events, to look at the way they can recycle better disposable. And I think Councillor Hood brought with him some glasses to the actual meeting, which he showed off and displayed. But there's lots of schemes in place to make it better, to make it more viable for people to use a single cup for the whole evening, if they're going to, so they can go and get it refilled, etc., etc. Very good schemes coming up, and we look forward to introducing them in the very near future. I don't know if Robin's got any comment on that. Robin?
Yeah, I think this is all about reducing the use of single-use plastics at the end of the day, and the deposit scheme for cups is obviously one way of doing that. Obviously, recycling at events is on the report as well. So it's all about encouragement rather than using a stick to hit companies and stallholders. It's encouragement to go down the right route, and obviously the encouragement of the reusable cup deposit scheme. So it's a good report, and I welcome it.
Yeah. Super. Thank you, guys. Any questions from any members online? No. Mike, Adam? Mike?
It's slightly peripheral to this. It's about waste collection from recreation grounds and parish. There doesn't seem to be any system within Tonbridge Morning to collect that recycled waste from those sort of places. Our ground staff recycle, sort everything, but they have to bring the plastics and cardboard over to my house, so it goes out in the normal residential collection. There's a back bin collection from the recreation ground, apart me, but not a recycling collection.
So waste falls in Martin's portfolio. Obviously, he's not here today. It is something that I know has been discussed with our waste services team, because obviously at the moment we have limited recycling opportunities beyond your domestic waste bin. And when that's been tried historically, there's been issues around contamination. However, I think that as behaviours change, and now we've got the rollout of recycling to all properties in the borough, we've also seen, and we're doing this at the moment with our food waste campaign, we're really sort of pushing this domestically. Personally, I think the next stage would be about doing it on the public land, effectively, with the bins that we see on the streets or in recreation grounds or wherever, and that's the next phase. But it might be something that we want to consider as part of our annual service delivery plan moving forward, because I don't think anyone will be against that, notwithstanding the other pressures that we've got on our waste services at the moment. So I'm sure Martin would, well, I hope Martin would have said the same had he been here. But he may watch on YouTube to tell me what I should have said in response to that question. So thank you, Mike. If there's nothing else, then the recommendation is that the guidance note be endorsed. Can I have a proposer for that? Des, seconder, Robin, can we agree that together?
Agree.
That was agreed unanimously. Thank you all. We'll move on to page 347. These are decisions taken by Cabinet members. The only decision that we've got this evening that wasn't discussed at Cabinet related to, was actually taken by Martin himself on the 15th of October regarding the introduction of parking charges in Aylesford East and West car parks, otherwise known as Bailey Bridge East and Bailey Bridge West. They have been implemented as of last week. I'll reiterate here what I've said to Aylesford Parish Council, which is I think we should have given more notice of charges coming in last Monday to the community, and I'm very sorry that we didn't. What we're doing at the moment is, although the charges are in force, we aren't issuing any fixed penalty notices if people haven't become aware of it. What we're doing instead is we're just issuing warnings for the next few weeks, and then obviously thereafter, fixed penalty fines effectively will be issued if you haven't paid for your parking in those two car parks. That was the only decision that was taken that we've got to discuss today. I don't see any questions online about it, so we'll move on. Agenda item 13 are urgent items. I don't see any urgent items. There's no need to go into private session. So at about 7:55, according to the clock behind me, we can close the meeting. Thank you all for coming tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good live stream.
Night all.
Oh, I can't believe it was that. I don't think I was.